Okay, tons of shit is happening. So let's do this another turn before I'm too exhausted to talk. Bogarus just warned us that something will happen. And Garth just sends me a message about how strict and good and all that nice stuff about our aliens is, and wow, I guess I really fucked this up. And wait, oh no, my expensive gimmick unit got killed? No, I have to see this. I think, how are you? Watch this battle too. So, first things first, Living Fire and Firestorm is active, so now every unit gets a bit singed every turn. Of the other side, horde of skeletons are summoned and vampires attack, and the Firestorm get active. Like all battlefield-wide spells, they randomly hit 50% of all tiles on the battlefield. Remember, battlefields are made up of tiles, you just can't see them, and a horror just showed up. Well, that's dumb. And here I have my units here. Some random garbage, I guess because it was defense, because I can't remember taking them with me. So anyway, my Flame Spirit is ready, my Deva is ready, and we have some fire elementals to protect them. And vampires are regenerating, but they're also on fire. So now it's just a question of surviving long enough. And it looks good right now. I don't care for those dump units on my side. I just want two things: destroy vampires and destroy enemy mages. That's in disguise vampire lords. Of course, I think the enemy Dominion is still strong enough to make this hilariously ineffective. But hey, it's the first time I was able to use Firestorm to some effect. That's a first, mostly because many Fire Nations are also really bad at actually using fire. It's an old joke that if you play, say, Abysia, one of the stereotypical Fire Nations, you better be willing to use blood instead, tons of blood. I mean, on the paper there are good nations with lots of fire, but they have trouble doing just the basic shit, and therefore often don't survive long enough to bring also magic power to bear. They're also quite hindered by Abyssians being rather short-lived, and additionally fire magic makes you even more shorter-lived. So you have tons and tons of fire mages who are really vulnerable against old age, which makes it really hard to keep them alive for long enough to matter. And anyway, the number of vampires goes down, and the other undead will be even more vulnerable against fire. And sooner or later, those mages will be too tired. And anyway, hey, battle is over, we won. So, why did we lose our fire squad? Here everything is still well, skeletons are dying. We even still have... the horror teleported to our mages and killed them with one hit. That's interesting. That was terminally unlucky, wow. So a strong fire spirit and a strong demon got just decapitated instantly by a horror. Well, and now the horror jumps back and kills some undead. A bit too late, my friend. A bit too late. What I didn't notice at this time, the horror shot up because one of Bogarus' units was horror seeded by Garth, And Horror Seed is a really evil spell which basically makes people in the seeded province slowly turn into horrors themselves. In this case, one of the units apparently had a horror inside, and when that unit got hurt, the horror burst out of it, and presto, real trouble. So, now this explains why my really expensive gimmick squad got destroyed, or all those scorched of flags. What is flag in English? Well, marks? Scorch marks. Ah, good. Anyway, after this embarrassing fiasco, I have at least the message from Garth assuring me that our alliance will stay strong. Which is kind of hilarious in hindsight since the Horror Seed came from him. And more vampires march in. And more units get killed by lightning from above. Man, that globe is stupid. Enemy Preacher, Dominion changes and population gets tricked by evil Preacher guy. At least our undead factory is slowly growing. We now have 4 mages running. I only did this because I wanted to look how strong our Dominion is here. So I switched off our army view because too large army tend to block the view to the candles. And I'm still trying to crack Grey Barrier here, and hoping the golem is not here. Of course, now that the game is over, it seems like Bugros had multiple golems equipped with magic shit to make them super astral monsters capable of casting Master and Slave. Because I'm sure I killed 2 of them, and 2 of them were able to cast Master and Slave. Well, now that I'm making commentary, I should take a good look at what happened to those golems. Did the first battle where one of the golems got stabbed? Did that actually happen already? Well, I really should power through my remaining recordings faster. It gets harder and harder to remember what actually happened back then. My Harab Elder. Good air mage, not so good at death. It's sadly doesn't happen often enough. But well, let's use him. Air magic 007. Oh man, that's a bad joke, but well, 007, you are our only hope here. So the idea is now to create a storm. Apparently, I can't decide what I actually want to do with that mage above. I'm just running through my scripts. Ah yes, I remember that. So the problem is with casting Storm. If the mage who can cast Storm comes really late in the lineup, then you have tons and tons of mages who have to use some silly other spell. Here I'm opting for aim because it makes precision a bit higher and therefore a bit easier to actually hit something with my Thunder Strikes. Because you can of course only use summon storm power if there is a storm. And if your dump super mage is down below, then well, all those other mages have to use their turn somehow. And if they use summon storm power but there isn't a storm, then well, then that slot is wasted. And I know Dominions 4. If the storm now is there, the next turn, all those mages will be gladly skip to the next spell in the line. And this will then fail because they don't have enough power to use Thunderstrike alone. All those support mages have only Air Path 2 and Thunderstrike needs Air Path 3. So you get those weird little setups where tons of mages in the first round cast aim or something is equally silly, and only in the second turn when Storm is up they will power up, and only in the third turn will the Thunderstrikes happen. This of course can be circumvented by stuff like the Staff of Storms, which will autocast Storm immediately, and therefore you can power up during the first turn already and start raining death in the second turn. That's something to remember if you play Air Nations, and in this case I just went for it because I have all those air mages there, so why not use them? Easy, right? Another thing I'm doing here is recruiting more of my little priests, because I want Borgaro's Dominion out of here, so he can't use his vampires anymore. Well, technically he still can, it's just not advisable to do so. And anyway, it looks like we're almost ready to go on the offensive again down here. And it looks like we can slowly crush the life out of the remaining fortresses down there. It's a bit trickier. Chest wound. Oh, okay, that's not too bad. There's stuff like Mute or Feeble-Minded, which influences magic power, and those are far nastier. Mute just cuts them in half, the magic paths, and Feeble-Minded takes everything away and makes them completely useless. CC is Combat Caster. Oh, and there I have to use up Storm Spools. Okay, this is a bit silly because two of the same items have 0 effects, but there is this weird little stuff you can forge with Earth Gems, I think. That works. If you combine different items you get both the effects, even if they're the same effect. So in this case, if I give someone a Storm Spool and then this weird little earth thing I've forgotten the name about, Lightning Rod, that's it, then I can make tons and tons of course constructs with just one mage. And since that spell is really cheap, that's as cheap as it gets. Only way to get it cheaper if I could just type course constructs in and the game would just vomit them out. I think if that were possible it would count as a cheat, however, and it's impossible anyway, so I'm using up my gems to make them. So I'm preaching here, tons of preaching from all my priests. Yeah, but it's about forcing checks nearby too, and preventing enemy checks from taking down my Dominion. Also there is this weird little, don't know if it's a bug, and I think I've talked about it in earlier turns, but if you have enough level 1 priests preaching, then they count as level 1.5 priests for some odd reason in the calculation. I think you need at least 4 level 1 priests in the province to trigger this odd behavior. But if you know this, then this means two things. First, they're more effective against enemy Dominion, and second, they can raise your own Dominion a little bit higher than you would expect. So even though the message says it's not possible, if you have enough level 1 priests, it's indeed possible to reach 1 or 2 level more in your candles. At least that's how it was explained to me. Again, Dominions 4 is odd enough that there are no guarantees or anything. I just think it happens. And here Garth is taking over one of the northern force I had trouble with. Now I'm equipping one of the Astral Mages a little bit more, because this throne here, this throne province, allows strong Astral and Earth Mages to be recruited. A bit late, and since there aren't undead or lizards, they're a bit vulnerable. To remind you, lizards are cold-blooded, and for some reason this means in Dominions 4 logic that they are immune to disease. And disease is a really nasty condition which not only slowly kills you, the max HP of a deceased unit or commander will drop by 1 each turn until they're reaching 0 and die. And the second bad thing is every turn a deceased unit has a chance to get additional afflictions. So they can get mute or feeble-minded, or random body parts can fall off and all that shit. Yeah, that will happen to them thanks to the disease. The disease is one of the worst conditions you can ever have, besides being marked by astral magic, because attracting horrors is a nice second place on the list of nastiness. Well, anyway, Garth has taken over that siege, which means I can concentrate on getting farther to the west. And Bogarus has one problem more. Now the only thing left to do is, how the hell do I get the army stuck in that one border province of mine next to my capital, all the way around that mountain range, because obviously I can't go to the west anymore, thanks to my ally taking over the problem zones there. So I'm guessing in the middle there's not much happening right now and in the near future, because I have to move all those units around. And towards Bogarus again. Now most of the action of the next turns will be in the south. And there's still a giant army. I could have sworn I had set them to storm last turn. Apparently in between recordings I decided to not do this for some reason. Well, apparently I didn't storm the castle. And oh my god, I'm still trying to send stealthy little Ravenlords around. It's kind of hilarious, but well, at this point I think I told you like 10 times already why this doesn't work in this gimmick game. I have to remember to use this strategy again in a normal game. I now may make some super stealthy. And a single vampire has taken over that one dumb province in the middle, where my magic squad was going through. At least Garth is a bit more successful. More units to put into their squadrons, and they still don't have enough depth. My Mount Fiends are making dead units, and I'm making 24 now per turn, which is basically nothing. Baby steps. But yeah, at this point in time I really should have taken into account that I'm probably not I will not be ready. How should I say this in English? That I won't be ready in time before the game ends. At least I have some nasty magic crap lined up for some impressive battles, but that will be it, I fear. Man, I hope I don't sound too depressive, but after talking so much, I'm kind of exhausted already. Now let's recapitulate. 10, 10, 20, 20. Or a full hour of talking again. Well, that's what I'm doing with my time here. But this video should be up as the fourth one of this particular session in Overgrown. Tremolo Pinfeather, my Raven Pretender, is getting ready for action. He has an impressive 10 death, which is the absolute maximum you can get. I gave him 9 during Pretender God creation, and thanks to that skull mask he's wearing on his head, he has an additional point in death magic. And he will first protect himself with some cheap spells, and then last spot he will use Undead Mastery. The idea being that if some sneaky bastard like the player of Bogarus is doing something to negate Undead Mastery, like using Master and Slave or using Undead Mastery himself, then the idea is that he will do so a lot earlier than I would do. Most likely he will try to just cast it faster than I do, so that I'm instantly losing the battle or some shit. My idea is to instead go the other route, and even if he plans for this, I'm really hoping that I'm the very last one to cast, because this means that all the undeads who change side will change sides again. That's one way to abuse the very low magic resistance of most of my undead units. And I see I'm over time again. Oh well, that's the end of this video and this session. Until next week, Lebluidi ends this now.